Hello everyone, this is Alex with Anchor Collectibles, and today we are doing our Commander Spotlight. As you can see, we are doing our Simic Commander. Vorel of the Hull Clade, who helms the deck Count Vorel. If you can guess, this is all about counters. Specifically, +1/+1 counters. So Vorel's ability is you pay Simic, tap for each counter on target artifact, creature, or land, put another of those counters on that permanent. So we have a lot of ways to put counters on our creatures. And I'll just go through real quick. We do have one branch in evolution, which if one or more counters would be put on a creature, that many, twice that many get put on. So we have Hardened Scales, which does a very similar thing, but it's that many +1. So we got quite a few cards that add 1/1 counters to our creatures. Those creatures themselves have abilities. For example, this one has enters with an indestructible counter. If it's cast from your hand and you remove one, to distribute 8 1/1 counters to any creatures and they gain trample. We do have some proliferators in here, which I will show later on in the video. Another possible commander that you can use is Peer and Toothy. They are partner commanders, so if one or more counters we put on a permanent your team controls, that many +1, so it's another increase to your counters. I'll show Toothy when we get to his section because he's part of our draw package. Aside from that, if you can't get your creatures big enough through the normal means, there is a second way to win in this game. So here's our proliferators. Our draw package in this deck, we do have Primal Empathy because eventually we will have the strongest creature on the field, which will give us card draw if not we put counters. Ranger class, the last one, lets you look at the top of the library and you can cast creature spells from it. Breed from the Hunt. Whenever a creature control with a 1/1 counter deals combat damage, draw a card. Fathom Mage. When it gets a 1/1 counter, you draw a card, which is great. And here's Toothy. So Toothy, you draw a card for each 1/1 counter on it when it leaves the field, and then when you draw a card, you put a 1/1 counter on it. Jin allows you to reveal the top card of your library, and you may play that card without paying its mana cost. Hydra Crisis gains you life, and also card draw. There are a few ways to get our creatures through. We do have some evasion here. Brawn, if it's in the graveyard and you have a forest, creatures get trample, and we have Wonder, which you creatures get fly if Wonder and an island is in your graveyard. And then Herald of the Secret Streams give all our creatures with 1/1 counters the ability to not be blocked, which is great since we have a lot of 1/1 counters in this deck. We do have a way to increase our mana via our mana ramp. Growth Spiral, draw a card, play a land. Incubation Druid taps for 1, but if it's got a counter, it taps for 3. Channeler Initiate enters with you put 3 -1/-1 counters on a creature you control, and then if you put them on this creature, you tap remove a -1/-1 counter, and you add 1 mana of any color of your mana pool. And if we proliferate the -1/-1 counters, we can do this again. Dire Sage taps for each 1/1 counter on this creature. Our Happy Little Goose, who taps for mana when you sacrifice a food. Gyre's Engineer taps for 2. And Cryptolith Rite, which gives all of our creatures the ability to tap for mana. Now, it may look like we don't have a lot of creatures. We do have some token makers that can actually make tokens for us. And then we can tap those creatures. This is actually one of my favorite ones, is you draw a card, you pay 1, and then if you do, you put a 1/1 counter on it and you make a tentacle. I mentioned that if we can't get our creatures big enough, there's other ways to win with this deck. So the win conditions, of course, is through damage. However, we do have a few other ways. We have Helix Pinnacle. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 100 or more tower counters on Helix Pinnacle, you win the game, and you can pay X to put X counters on it, tower counters. Biomass Mutation, this is one of our finishers. Increases the base power and toughness of your creatures by X. So if there's 10 1/1 counters on a creature and you pay 5, then their base power is 5, and the 10 add to that. So it'll make your creatures bigger on top of the counters. On top of Helix Pinnacle, we have Simic Ascendancy. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Simic Ascendancy has 20 or more growth counters on it, you win the game. And this one, when one or more 1/1 counters are put on a creature you control, you put that many on this creature. And our last way to win is 20-Toed Toad. When it attacks, you win the game if there are 20 or more counters on it, or you have 20 or more cards in hand. So putting as many counters on the toad and swinging with it will allow you to win the game. What do you think of the deck? What would you change? What would you add to the deck? Check out our playlist of Commander Spotlight. This was a shorter video. I've been getting a little more efficient in making these videos, so they're not 10 minutes long. Who would you pick as your Simic commander, and would you let it be Pure and Toothy? Oh, I forgot one last thing. And of course, this deck also has a way to steal your opponent's things. Simic Manipulator. It's got Evolve. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, you put a 1/1 counter on it. And then you can remove one or more 1/1 counters from it. Gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to the number of 1/1 counters removed this way. So yes, this deck has a way to steal things utilizing +1/+1 counters. Again, thanks for watching. Check out our store if you're looking for any product. Check out our other videos. Please comment which of the guilds is your favorite. Have a good one.